Hello, my fellow project managers. I hope you're doing well. It has been a while we've connected. So here I am today. We're a little bit into Q2, but I wanted to remind those of you who are looking to get PMP certified to get your skates on and let's do this before the new exam kicks in July. The new exam is coming on July 1st. There are a few things that you need to know about this new exam, but before I get into the new exam, let me very quickly address those of you who are already PMPs and are project managers, and you've been working in the world of work for a while. If you haven't already noticed, artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And my advice to you is that as we are living in an era where artificial intelligence is accelerating faster and faster, catching up with what you could do, it can now do a lot of what you could do with minimal instructions. It can create charters, it can create plans, it can do all the scheduling, start to finish, finish to start. It knows all of those relationship types. So, my question to you is, as a PM, what's going to be left for you? And the answer is you must be the human in the loop. You must be the person who understands AI can do so much, but there's also a place for the human, and that's in decision making. In order for you to make big decisions regarding AI, you need to know how it works. A lot of folks think that AI will go away and it's a bad dream. It's not going away. And it's not enough for you just to churn out documents. You got to think in a more executive way. In fact, studies have shown from PMI the place that a lot of PMs are lacking that's going to be needed in the future is understanding strategy, understanding executive big think. So if you've been a PM for a while, I just wanted to give you that heads up. Start looking into the world of strategy. Go to programleadershipinstitute.com. We've got this cohort that is in motion right now, and they're learning about leadership and strategy and portfolio and a higher level of thinking as opposed to just a tactical, because AI helps you get stuff done. AI can help you get stuff done at the snap of a finger. But the question isn't what AI can get done. The question is AI making the right stuff for you? Is AI helping you become more competitive? Or in the words of Michael Porter, Professor Michael Porter, who came up with the five forces, the question is, are you truly being strategic? Or are you just competing on price? Right? And price as a strategy is okay, but it can only get you so far. All right, now let's go into the world of the PMP. For those of you who are looking to get certified and you're wondering, Phil, what is the new exam all about? What do I stand to face on the new exam? Let's talk about that real quick. So let's jump straight into this quick presentation that I have for you. PMBOK 8. What exactly is in PMBOK 8? Well, PMBOK Guide 8th edition, cutting to the chase, presents the information as follows. We have 7 performance domains. We don't have the knowledge areas being talked about anymore. So your language is likely going to change as you're taking this exam. We have the 5 process groups still. And as you see here, we call these the same as we did before, just that the PMI is calling them focus areas, but I still call them process groups. It's initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling and closing. That's great. But if you look on the left hand side, you see the left hand side here is different. That's right. So now we have governance, scope, schedule, finance, stakeholders, resources, and risk. And the intersections are also very different. But let's jump straight into governance at a high level, right? Think about governance as the evolution of integration management with quality and some sourcing elements. So we have all of these as opposed to the processes we had before, right? Have initiate the project or phase, integrate and align plans, and pretty much just execute, monitor and control, do all the stuff we did before, but the naming is different. For scope, again, we have similar things. We now have elicit requirements as opposed to collecting the requirements, but it's still the same ebb and flow of work. That has not changed. There's nothing groundbreaking or new here, right? So develop scope structure. Again, it's language that you're going to have to get used to, which is why I have been, I have kind of been warning people, like get on the bandwagon. Don't find yourself having to learn this new language. It's similar, but it's different. Schedule management, we have 3 processes now compared to the 6 or the 7 we had in previous editions. So plan schedule management, develop schedule, and monitor and control schedule. And it makes it look simpler, but there's still all of that stuff that happens underneath the develop schedule uh, area. So under develop schedule, you have the define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity durations. All that stuff will be in there. So while it's out of sight, it's not out of mind. Finance, we have finance here. It used to be called cost. Now we're calling it finance. So cost management with a broader financial lens opens the doors to funding, cash flow, and holistic financial performance thinking. Then we have stakeholders. I'm not a huge fan of how stakeholders now absorbs communication management. I think communication should have been kept on its own, but now you got to think, okay, communications is part of this. It's like going back to the dark ages of PMBOK. This is what it was like before it was changed in the fifth edition, but now we're going back to, what it was before, which is, you know, anyway, sticking to what you folks have to learn. You have to learn the stuff newly, which is why my advice to you would be, if you can get certified on this current ticket of PMBOK, just do it, or this current ticket of the ECO. Then we have resource management, which is a catch-all for all manner of resources. Nothing much has changed. I like the word lead the team. That excites me because I get really excited about the word leadership. And then we have risk, right? So everything that we knew before, planning risk, identifying qualitative and quantitative risk analysis has been bunched into perform risk analysis, plan risk responses, implement risk response, and monitor risk. So not much has changed there. Overall, it's not a huge, humongous change. So this is the lay of the land, okay? And the exam was never really built on just this, but nonetheless, it is important for you to understand that there has been some change. So those are the changes. So these are your new lanes, if you will: governance, scope, schedule, finance, stakeholders, resources, and risk. Anyone who has studied the current view that we're used to in the PMBOK sixth edition, which is also in process groups or practice guide, now your convention has to change. You have to learn everything all over again. So I'm curious to know if you have any questions for me at this point. Questions, comments, concerns. Any questions? Put your questions in the chat and I will answer them right away. Questions about the world of PMBOK or PMP or anything. For those of you who are already PMPs, I will be more than happy to answer your questions now. But moving on to the next stage from here, I also wanted to address what the content outline looks like, because I know some of you may not have looked at the content outline. So let's address the content outline really quickly. The new PMP exam will be broken down still into people, process, and business. But when you go into the area of people, you can see that the tasks right over here, the tasks are different. So people is, as opposed to what it is today, which is about 42%, it is now 33%, as you can see there. And I know people aren't complaining because there are many people who are technical and prefer the technical process type questions. So that's what that is about. But at a very high level, this just makes sense. And if you are a PMP, you should be able to do these things in the real world. I mean, PMI's content outline is spot on, because as opposed to you looking at PMBOK 8 and getting into that whole process dogma, which isn't bad, it's good to look at it with a broader sense of the business world. Yeah, develop a common vision. If there's no vision, the people perish, as the good book says. And it's true. In companies where there's no vision, what happens? They perish, right? They just go off the beaten track doing stuff that has no sense, no bearing on their core ideas. Some companies have died as a result of that, where there's no vision. So vision is very important. Managing conflicts, this is like daily stuff for any business. Leading the team, engaging your stakeholders and customers, aligning expectations, managing expectations. Knowledge transfer is huge. So I'm glad that we're beginning to think more of retrospectives, thinking more of lessons learned. A lot of companies, they don't do lessons learned. So it's good PMI calls this out. Planning and managing communications. I mean, this is what the PM does, 70 to 90%. So that's very straightforward. It's a more streamlined people domain, that's for sure. The process domain, again, this is agnostic. Task one just says develop an integrated plan and plan delivery. Whether you are in the world of agile or in the world of predictive, it makes no difference. Task two, you got to think about the scope, right? Scope is like the telescope analogy. The telescope just shows you what you're doing closer. It brings it to life, brings it in the forefront, and you're able to see clearly, okay, what do we need to do to get the work done? Helping ensure value-based delivery. I like task three because value trumps output. Output is good, but you can have all the output. If you don't have the value, what did you really work on, right? Task four, plan and manage resources. This is life for the PM as well as managing procurement. Now, I don't know if you realized from the previous image I showed you, procurement is procurement is not a knowledge area, or we could say a performance domain using the new language anymore, which again, I'm not that pleased. I think it was a good addition, but I'm happy to see it here as its own dedicated task. Because as a PM, you better know about your procurements. You better know your procurement and contract types. Task six, plan and manage finance, kind of like a mirror image of what we saw in PMBOK 8. Plan and optimize quality of products or deliverables, right? Makes sense. You should optimize quality, the Kaizen mindedness. Planning and managing the schedule, that's the holy grail of every PM. In fact, most PMs back in the day, this was a big part of what they did. But we also got to think more about agile scheduling. It doesn't have to be with a Gantt chart and with Microsoft Project or any of the Asanas, and even those, they're beginning to adapt more to the agile mindset. All right, task nine, evaluate project status, which makes sense. Manage project closure. Project closes, you got to manage it. So it's very streamlined. If you remember, the last content outline had 17 process tasks. This only has 10. So it's been whittled down. Last but not least, we have business. PMI, as I mentioned earlier about the business area and strategy, they've done their studies. They know business has got to be bumped up for sure. And I'm glad to see it being bumped from 8 to 26%. And it just says define and establish project governance, plan and manage project compliance. So this is mirroring what is happening in the world today, right? Governance is big, right? Whether you're talking about governance in the firm from a project standpoint, a process standpoint, an AI standpoint, governance is a framework within which authority is exercised, as PMI would say. Task two, plan and manage project compliance. Again, compliance in some countries is coming down the pike as far as AI is concerned. So we got to think about other forms of compliance: security, health, safety, sustainability, regulatory. Just makes sense. So I'm glad the PMI is bumping this up, managing and controlling change. And we're talking about a larger change, right? We're talking about a change at the organizational level, the business level. Removing impediments and managing issues, that's the holy grail of the Scrum Master. That's exactly what they should be working on. Anyone on the project team should be an impediment remover. Planning and managing risk. What is a risk? It's something that could affect your project that is uncertain. So it's uncertainty that could affect your project positively or negatively. Again, I'm happy PMI put this here, but we got to think beyond just project risk. We got to think higher levels of risk, right? So for you as a PM today, you might be looking at risk at the project level, but as you begin to move up in the ranks in a firm, you got to scale this stuff up. All right, continuous improvement, again, Kaizen mindedness. This is great. Supporting organizational change. Course, organizations are going through a lot of change right now as a result of the disruptor, AI, right? And task eight, evaluate external business environment changes. I mean, you should be doing this all the time. Regulations, technology, geopolitical. I mean, what's going on in the world today with oil, with AI? There's a lot of just so much turbulence and change. And those firms that are able to pivot, they will survive. And those that are not, you already know the answer. They're going to be left behind. All right, my friends. I hope that helped. Hey, Jay, good to see you. Congratulations. Congratulations on your PMP. Jay recently became a PMP, and that is truly awesome. So, round of applause to you, Jay, for staying the course and just being focused. B. Millie, welcome, welcome. If there are any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. But if we are offline by the time you get your question in, don't worry, just put it in the comments and I will come back to the comments and I'll find any questions you might have and I will expand on them more for you. So, for those of you who are already certified and are PMPs, keep pushing, keep learning, keep going higher. It's not enough. PMP is the beginning, as you know. I'm glad, Jay, you already have some of those Scrum and Agile certifications and mindedness down. And for those who are already PMPs, you got to just keep elevating your knowledge. It's not enough to stop at PMP. Learning, so the ACP, the RMP, the SP, all of these are certifications PMI has, not because they're going to be the golden ticket to get you in a job, but they could actually keep you in a job. Don't forget that. They might keep you in a job because when you apply the knowledge that you've gained, you're just invaluable to the firm. Like the earned value stuff that I learned back in the day, I applied it when I was at Honeywell. Okay. And I am coming out with a different slant to earn value. So stay tuned. Those of you who love earn value, but you want to think a little bit differently to pivot to this ever changing world, yeah, stay tuned. I have a slightly different earn value model I'll be sharing in the not too distant future. Okay, my friends. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Wish you all the very best. Congrats, those of you who have recently gotten certified. I'll speak to you again very soon. Don't forget, the exam changes on the 1st of July. My friends out in Perth, I got my eye on you, all right? My friends in Australia, my friends in Houston, my friends out in Aberdeen, my friends out in London, my friends in Maryland, my friends all around the world. We've been working on this stuff. This syllabus has been in existence for about 6 years. 2000 and I think it's 2018, 2019, we started working on the sixth edition. And it's just now that things are like so radically shifting. But we worked a lot of the information we have in our courses for many years. So this is about the longest, but it's time to change and it's time for you to take the exam or pivot. All right. You take care, my friends. Thank you for joining me today. Any questions, put them below and I'll get back as soon as I can. Bye for now.